All right, let's dive in, shall we? It's like everyone's had that moment. Phone rings, unknown number, and you're like, ugh, telemarketer, gotta be.
Yeah, it's almost an instinct at this point.
Like our source said, let's be honest. Cold calling has a bad reputation.
For good reason.
It's seen as time-consuming, full of rejection. Feels kind of like a shot in the dark, right? But what if, and stick with me here, what if we're looking at it all wrong?
Interesting.
Like, what if instead of this idea of pushing a sale, we thought of it as, I don't know, more like opening a door?
That's a great analogy.
Right.
Yeah.
And that actually is a core idea in what we're diving into today. So no more dreading the phone.
Yeah.
Today, we're reframing cold calling and looking at how to make it work for you.
Sounds good.
So to set the stage a bit, our source argues that the whole selling aspect is what trips people up. It's not about that hard sell. It's more about strategically connecting with the right person at the right time. And I got to be honest, my own experience with cold calling has been, well, let's just say not super successful.
Haha. I think a lot of people can relate to that.
So where do most companies go wrong when they try this?
I think the biggest mistake is they don't qualify their leads effectively. It's like they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Oh, I like that.
Right. You got to be more targeted, There's research that shows that if you really hone in and pre-qualify those leads, you can increase your conversion rates by, get this, like 300%.
Wait, 300%?
Yeah, that's not a typo.
That is huge.
Yeah. Triple the success just by being, smarter about who you're calling.
That's wild.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. But, and I know I might be playing devil's advocate a bit here, doesn't narrowing down your audience that much limit your potential reach?
Not necessarily. It's more about quality over quantity. I mean, let's say, for example, you're selling, I don't know, cybersecurity software. You're not going to call a bakery, right?
Yeah, that'd be a bit weird.
You'd be wasting everyone's time. So you'd want to use tools like industry databases, firmographic data, even just, frankly, good old Google searches.
Oh, so you're really like a detective.
Kind of.
Gathering intel.
Yeah, exactly. You're looking for companies that maybe they're expanding, they're hiring in specific departments, or they've publicly announced initiatives that align with what you offer.
So you're not just calling blindly, you're finding a reason.
Absolutely.
I love it. It's strategic. So speaking of who we're calling, the source mentioned this interesting point about decision makers. They get bombarded with emails constantly, LinkedIn messages, like it's never ending.
It's a digital deluge.
Right. So is cold calling like the only comely way to cut through all that and actually get their attention?
I mean, digital communication definitely has its place, but think about it. Have you ever really felt heard through an email chain? A phone call, it just creates that human connection, You hear someone's tone of voice, you answer questions instantly, you might even share a laugh. It's just a different level.
It is.
It builds rapport right away, and that's super crucial in sales, especially when you're reaching out cold.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Actually, it reminds me of this time I was trying to set up a meeting with this CEO of a tech company. Emailed him for weeks. Radio silence.
I've been there.
It was frustrating. But then I finally was just like, you know what? I'm going to call his office. Turns out he never even checked his email.
Oh, wow.
We ended up having this great conversation, scheduled a meeting that same week. It wasn't to happen without that phone call.
That's a perfect example, and it really highlights what our source is saying about the power of picking up the phone.
Right. And speaking of picking up the phone, our source really emphasizes the importance of delegating cold calling to people who are, well, good at it. Like it's a skill.
Yeah, not just anyone can do it effectively.
So why is that? What makes a good cold caller?
Well, think about it. They're trained to handle objections, to tailor their message based on who they're talking to build that rapport we were just discussing. It's more than reading from a script. They're having genuine conversations, building relationships.
So they're like cold calling ninjas.
Huh. I love it.
But seriously, what would you say are the main advantages of having, the pros handle this part of things?
Oh, well, for one, time and efficiency. Your sales team can focus on, closing deals, nurturing leads, while the pros handle that initial outreach, filling the pipeline. Plus, often it can get you a direct line to the decision makers, bypassing all those gatekeepers.
Ooh. I could see how that would be valuable.
Yeah, and our source puts it perfectly. More meetings, more deals, and faster growth.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And this is for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, this sounds good in theory, but how do I know if I need this? What are some signs a business should rethink its approach, maybe bring in some help?
Well, a few things to ask yourself. Is your team struggling to book, those high-value meetings despite spending hours on the phone?
So not just any meetings, but the ones that matter.
Exactly. And are your salespeople dreading cold calls? Because that can lead to low morale and even lower success rates. And, be honest, are you seeing a low return on investment from your current efforts?
That's when you know something needs to change.
Right.
So really what we're saying is cold calling isn't dead. It's just been done, well, poorly for a long time.
Yeah.
When done strategically, like we've been talking about, with the right leads, skilled people making those calls, it can be powerful.
Absolutely. It's a door opener, not a door slammer.
I love that.
It's about reframing it,
Right, right. And the source leaves us with a question, and I think it's a good one. What's your experience with cold calling?
Yeah, think about it.
Has it been a waste of time, a drain on resources, or could it be, maybe with this new perspective, a potential goldmine?
Food for thought.
That's all for this deep dive.
Thanks for listening.
We'll catch you next time.